This is a video demonstration of the TRANSAX Gateway reporting features. We're going to look at reports from a couple of different perspectives. First would be a high-level overview of transactions processed over time, for instance, what you processed last month. Then we're also going to take a look at ways to find individual transactions, in the case of a customer service support issue. So first, again, as I said, we'll start with the high-level overview from the activity report. The activity report is a way to look at transactions. In this case, I'm going to look at yesterday and today from the date that they were initiated. So we're looking at transactions based on when that sale, when that authorization was processed. And the activity report shows all transaction types of the gateway. So we're seeing everything from authorizations to tip adjustments. Each column shows the quantity of transactions found during the time period searched, as well as the volume for that particular transaction type as well. If we were to click on any one of these, in this case I'll click on the authorizations, we're taken to a list of all the transactions that were in that column. So in this case it's just the one authorization, and we can see some basic details about it, including that dollar value and time, date stamp, things of that nature. We also have another way to look at transactions, which is the settlement report. That's taking a look at transactions from a high level, but based on the date that they ultimately closed. So we'll look at the same time period, first of all, yesterday and today, and click search. It's going to show us similar results to the activity report, but now we're seeing only a subset of transaction types: sale, captures, credits, and refunds. These are the specific transaction types that move money, and these would be reflective of deposits that I actually get into my deposit account. Now, I mentioned that these are transactions based on the date they're closed. For merchant accounts, where you're talking about credit and debit card activity, that will basically be the same day. The activity report and settlement report will show things pretty much in unison. However, ACH transactions take several days to process. So the settlement report we're looking at here will include ACH transactions based on the date they're ultimately finalized. So this should, again, be reflective of the deposits you're actually receiving into your deposit account. There's another view of the settlement report as well, which gives us a little bit more detail. We'll search on the same time period, but then instead of grouping by days, we're going to group by card type, and then from the card type option, select detailed view. When we click search, you'll see the settlement report has now given us a different outbreak. We're looking at, first of all, transactions based on the card brand, so Visas versus American Express transactions in this case. And then within those brands, we're seeing subtotals until we get down to the very bottom where we see grand totals across all settlement types. Additionally, we're seeing more information here. We're seeing the customer's name, the account numbers, the dollar amount of individual transactions here. So it's a really handy way to look at, again, transactions on a high level. But sometimes you need to get more detailed. You want to find just a couple of simple transactions. So we can go here to reports and then click transaction report, where the default search is going to be just today, whatever that date is. But then we have all these other filters that let us narrow those results even further. So I could look for sales specifically. I could look for transactions based on where they were processed, the transaction source. In this case, a virtual terminal or hosted payment page, recurring billing, things of that nature. So I want to look for everything that happened today, though. So I just want to look at today's date. So I'm going to click search, and I'll get a color-coded result set with a very simple tool at the top here showing me the total count of transactions that were found, as well as the net volume that I'll be receiving from these transactions. So in this case, we found 4 transactions took place today for a net volume of $2. The color coding easily shows us which transactions failed in the case of this Bugs Bunny sale that is color coded red. And then our 3 green transactions were all successfully processed. A very handy tool here is this arrow on the left side, which indicates that this transaction has a connected transaction. So I can see here when I click the arrow that there is a capture that was associated with this authorization. So this authorization here was captured, and they both have that arrow showing me, regardless of the transaction results, that there are connected transactions, and I can very quickly get to those. If I were to drill to the detail page of any one of these transactions by clicking the magnifying glass and get all the information about that particular sale, as well as, again, seeing the full transaction history on this detail page. The follow-up options that I have from the transactions, I can re-email receipts or run new transactions based off of this stored information. When I click back, I've got one final option here with my transaction report. I can export these results to an Excel spreadsheet or to a text file, or if I found too many results, I can click Refine Search and then plug in new criteria beyond just today in order to find, for instance, just my authorizations and narrow the search results down even further. So there's a couple of different ways to look at transactions, again, on that detailed level. There are some other options that we have here about reports. First of all, there is the recurring projections report. This is taking a look into the future, not at transactions we've already processed, but transactions that we will process specifically under recurring billing plans. So I'll take a look out to the end of next month and get a breakdown by week showing how many transactions, again, specifically from recurring billing, will take place each week, and then the volume that I'll get from those transactions, assuming that each transaction is successful. So it's a very handy tool to, again, take a look at money that you will receive, the accounts receivable from recurring billing. Next, we have the expired credit card report. When I click on that, I'll be taken to a breakdown of two different areas of information. One is the SAFE, which is our tokenization system, and then the other is recurring billing, which is something we just talked about, where we've got stored data on both sides, and I can see cards that will expire in 30, 60, and 90 days so that I can contact those customers to make changes to their account if necessary. Lastly, one other report that we'll show is the invoice report. This is your bill for the month, so you can take a look at any month and any year to find the details of the activity in that month. You'll get a breakdown by the features that you have enabled on your account, as well as the costs for each one of those features, and so that you can get your grand total and all of the details that make up that grand total. So there are a number of different reporting tools in TRANSAX Gateway. We also have, for those that have development capabilities, a reporting API that you can create any reports that you'd like. For more information about these and other tools of TRANSAX Gateway, please contact your sales representative.